That doesn't make any sense because you can't have other people in there. It's not like this is what Google does. They're like, I'm going to replace the thing that you're using with something that is totally different than the thing that you're using.
That doesn't actually do the things that you're using this for.
It's like, oh, feed burner is going away. Oh, great. And we're replacing it with Wave, which doesn't do what feed burner does.
Oh man.
Good job, Google.
Yeah. Wave was interesting. I actually tried it. There was nobody on it though, so
yeah, I played with it. I really wanted to like it, but I didn't really see the
Yeah, people have been trying to fix email for like the last 30 years. That was like Wave was supposed to fix email, Slack was supposed to fix email.
Yeah.
So now we get a bunch of email notifications from Slack.
Exactly.
Yep.
Email is the glue of the internet.
Google Plus was their greatest experiment, though. Like that's completely gone now, right?
Yeah, they shut that down.
We're gonna make a social media network. Wait till everyone puts that in their profiles and writes it in books.
Well, and hard codes it into their website with the Google author stuff, and yeah. Then we'll just pull the plug.
Yeah, it turned into a giant ghost town anyway. So
yeah. They when I was at my last corporate job, my second to last corporate job, they built this whole thing around Google Health.
Mm-hmm.
They were building like Google Health integration, and then of course Google yanks the plug on that, and it was like tens of thousands of dollars worth of development time gone.
Yeah, and yet somehow we still have Twitter. Like, I don't know how that's still around.
Yeah, we need a new fail whale.
Yeah. Not only do we have Twitter, but I was just thinking about this morning. It's like if you went back in time, like 10 years ago, and you're like, oh yeah, the main way that the president of the United States will communicate with people will be through 180 characters.
Yeah,
I know, right?
Yeah. Like, the world is a strange place. So what's been going on?
I am now the podcast host of at least 3 more shows.
Nice.
By yourself? Or you're on the panel? So.
But yeah, the open source sustainability show has kind of been fits and starts. And so I just said, okay, well, I'm going to start showing up until they kind of hit a rhythm. And I've told them that, then I'm going to drop back off. The DevOps show, same kind of thing. They're just really starting to hit their rhythm, but they've also had some fits and starts. So jumping into that one too. And then React Native Radio, which has been around for a while, they wind up releasing like an episode or 2 a month, which is not what I need. And so I just emailed them and said, guys, I'm going to be showing up every week. Michelle is going to be finding you guests.
Be there.
And it was funny because then and I think a lot of it just comes down to Natter, who's the guy that's been kind of running the show. He's a developer evangelist for Amazon, and so he's traveling a lot, and so he tends to want to schedule him for when he's around. And so I'm trying to bring somebody else up so that they can run it when he's not. And so so I'm going to be on those for a little while. But yeah, I'm just like, so we'll show up. And what was funny was a couple of the panelists essentially said, oh, well, if that's the case, then I have a bunch of people I'd like to invite. And I'm like, here you go. Here's how you do it.
That's cool. So it sounds like you need to take a more active
I need to take a more active role up front. And then, just with the understanding is like, look, I don't intend to be a host on the show for more than a few months, but, we'll do it to get it rolling. So, yeah.
It's cool. Get everybody used to the system too. That's you've got a lot of pieces in that system. So it probably is a bit of a learning curve for people to.
Yeah. I think once PodWrench is in the mix, I think the learning curve will go down some, just the amount of stuff, because it'll prompt you to do all the things. But in the meantime, I mean, that's kind of where things are at. And then I also did my planning for the next 3 months for it's from the 12-week year. I think I've mentioned that on the show before. So I have 3 main goals for the 12-week year, and this ends September 21st. The biggest one is launching PodWrench. So and what's interesting is that it plays in to the other 2. So launching PodWrench, the other ones are growing listenership by 50% and booking out all available sponsorships through December 31st. I want to have that done by September 21st.
Nice. That
And
seems doable.
Yeah. So, then, in fact, I should just share my screen here for a minute. Because the way that you do it in 12-week year is you set tactics. And so I have these tactics lined up. So launching PodWrench, I'm going to spend 8 hours per week. So essentially 1 work day working on PodWrench every week. I need to update the MVP roadmap. Start onboarding beta users. I'm not quite there, but I'm getting there. I still have to write a blog post every week, but I think I might just take that off right now. And then get the devchat.tv team on board, which I'm getting close to being able to do.
So what's the launch version of PodWrench look like?
It does all of the scheduling and like host management and stuff like that, and the sponsorships. The way that it plays into this book out available sponsorships is the sponsorship booking, but also the analytics reporting for the podcast episodes, because I don't trust the numbers from Blueberry anymore. So I need to get that up and running, and I'm hoping to have that up and running here within the next week. Basically, next week. Next week I plan to reach out to a ridiculous number of new companies. You can see here that so these are weekly tactics. So identify and reach out to 20 new companies each week. If I'm going to book out through December, I think that's what it's going to take. And then line up 3 sales calls each week is kind of related to that. So my goal is to reach out to 20 and have 3 of them land as a call. And then if I can, score one of them as a sponsor. And then I'm going to put together that series on how to sponsor podcast episodes.
Okay.
And put that up on YouTube. And that way I can turn around and I can email all of the people who I've emailed in the past.
Yeah.
And say, hey, by the way, if the thing that's holding you back is that you don't know how to do it, or you don't know how to get an ROI, this will walk you through it.
Yeah. Yep. That's really good. I like that you're sending that. I like that you're emailing that out too, because that's the type of thing where I don't know that you'd really get much traction with it if you weren't distributing it yourself. Like if you're waiting for people to find it, I don't know that's really going to happen. But
the other thing is that a lot of people are going to want to sponsor podcasts for things other than what I'm doing. And so I think they'll get some traffic from marketers, and I think they'll probably get shared around a little bit, but I don't think they're going to be a major thing. And then I need to update the sponsor page weekly on devchat.tv, just so that it has up-to-date information. Here's when our next openings are, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then I need to fix up the sponsor pages on PodWrench so that people can actually just go in and pay and things like that.
Yeah.
But growing the listenership, I think the big one that's going to make the biggest difference. Last week, Manny and I talked, and he asked me why I wasn't doing 2 episodes of JavaScript Jabber every week.
Yeah.
Oh, because that's your biggest show.
Yeah, it's my biggest show by far. It accounts for probably 40% of the traffic.
So you double your inventory almost by doing
that. Pretty much. And I double my inventory on the most expensive show.
Yeah, that's really good.
So that's the big one. I'm also going to do some social media stuff. I want to get that process together, mainly because then I can offer it to anybody who wants me to take on. I'm not actively going to be pursuing people to take them on as clients to build their podcasts.
Mhm.
I'm going to keep talking to Eric Dietrich and some of these other folks about it, but that's not the main focus by any means. I'll keep that conversation warm until either something comes out of it or until I have time to focus on it.
Mhm.
So in other words, I don't want the door to close, so I'm going to put my toe in it, but that's it. And then I'm going to start doing the emails on Active Campaign. Send a weekly podcast episode roundup. We talked about that before. And then I've also set up on, what is it, TeePublic, I think. So a place where you can order swag for the shows. And I'm just going to go and send swag to one of our past guests every week.
Nice.
Some of the more prominent folks. And that way, when they get it in the mail, they can say, oh, look, I got a JavaScript Jabber shirt. Or, oh, look, I got a Ruby Rogue shirt. And, hopefully they'll post it to social media or wear it to conferences or things like that. And then I'm going to go after the shows where I think that I have the opportunity for the most growth. So that's AI, Python, and VR. And then I'm looking for a good list of things to optimize on SEO SEO for the website, just to see if we can get a slight bump in traffic from that. But I'm telling you, honestly, I think doubling the JavaScript Jabber releases, I think that on its own could probably just do the whole grow by 50%. I think the rest of this can get it from 50% to like 75%.
So I've got a suggestion on the swag one, because I don't think it'll be super effective, but it's going to be a time sink. What I'd suggest you do is basically just hire someone to just, instead of doing one a week, just do 52 right now. Like you see what I'm saying?
Oh,
like
that's an idea.
Just make a list of 52 guests that you've had, and then just hire someone to send all 52 of them shirts. And then two things will happen. One, you won't have to deal with this every week, and
I'll also get a bump right away at the same time.
So you'll be able to see what the effectiveness actually is, because then you can determine. And it'll also make it instead of like a task that's going to take you 30 minutes every week, it'll take you 1 hour to basically arrange and delegate this, and then it's done.
Yeah, that's true. Because essentially what I'm talking about is just sending them some stickers and t-shirt, and maybe a mug or something. But yeah, I definitely should do that. I'll just have Michelle or Asley reach out to. Yeah, I can tell them which people to reach out to. Yeah, and that might not be a bad way to go. Is just every quarter, just send out like 20 of them.
Yep.
Yeah. Or even so, if it's fairly, are you set up through a website that like sends them out? Or would you be ordering the stuff to your house and then shipping it out?
No, I would probably just go into here. Let me give you the link. Because if you go to swag.devchat.tv, you can order swag for. Go away. You can order swag for any of the.
These pop-ups are annoying.
Yeah. So like JavaScript Jabber, for example.
Yeah.
You can just go in and order it.
So you'd basically be ordering it from yourself?
Yeah, I would just go in and order it for.
You might want to make it part of your like ongoing process to just do that for every guest that comes on.
Yep.
And do it either like after they're on the show and maybe before their episode comes out.
Yeah.
So it's sort of around the same time, and they're excited, and
it
makes them more likely to promote. Makes them more likely to promote it.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to do. I need to add designs for the other shows in here, but I can make Michelle or somebody do that. But yeah, I like that, and that way we just go in and hey, yeah, thanks for coming on the show. Boom, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's definitely something that I've been looking to do. The other thing that I want to do, In fact, what is that? I think there it is. 12-week year. Yeah. So send swag as part of the publishing process.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing that I need to do is make guest outreach part of the publishing process. So it's, hey, here's your episode. Feel free to share it. And just make that as easy as possible for them. But
Nice.
so this is the plan for the next, starting on June 30th. It's the plan for the next 13 weeks. So some of this stuff I've got to kind of prep for a little bit before then, because I've got next week to go and run through some of this stuff. But that's the plan.
Cool. Yeah, I like it.
So anyway.
Nice. How are you liking, what are you using Notion for? Looks like you use it mainly for planning.
Yeah. Oh, let me share my screen again. I can just kind of walk you through how we're using it. So it's mostly for planning. We've got a couple of to-do lists. So, these are the shows that we're onboarding right now. We've got some other things that are just to-dos that, are related to a lot of this stuff. And then this is where a lot of the magic happens as far as like the episode production goes.
Okay.
So, yeah. So you can kind of see what's going here.
Yeah, so it's kind of like a combination of Trello and
a wiki.
Yeah. Wiki / list making tool.
Yeah. So you can also see here we've got the podcast master process.
Mm-hmm.
And so, these are all procedures for all this stuff.
Okay.
And most of these are written, not all of them, but most of them are. So some of the social media ones I haven't done. And so I just need to, put that together. And you can see here,
Right.
like the guest thank you is already part of the list, but it's not been fleshed out. The social media stuff is on the list, but it's not fleshed out.
Mm-hmm.
All of this stuff is fleshed out as far as the editing, and most of the recording stuff's fleshed out. So yeah, there are a handful of things here that are taken care of. But since I filled this in, and that I did all of these processes for podcast setup before we actually decided to launch 5 more shows.
Right.
So what's funny is that technically I think I'm listed as the podcast operations person that's supposed to do this stuff, but Michelle's been doing all of it.
Nice.
And so that's been really handy. So she's just been managing a ton of that. And I've just been lining up the hosts, mostly just reaching out to people. So so the other thing I guess related to this is like the DevOps show. I went down and I met a bunch of people at Velocity. Next month, I'm looking at going out to OzCon and, connecting with a whole bunch of people. They have a bunch of AI and data science and Python people there anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And so I can pull that together. But I'm also hoping to connect with people who are talking about open source sustainability and things like that for sustain our software. But Eric actually got in and invited like 78 people to book episodes on the show.
Wow.
And so I got 11 notifications for different episodes for that show. We're probably going to punt on recording on the 5th of July, and that pushes back the release a week. But it doesn't really hurt anything per se, but it does allow me also to go and connect with people who are interested in open source and see if I can line that up. But I made a bunch of contacts too at Velocity for some of this stuff. And so the conferences continue to be a terrific source for me as far as sponsorships and as far as a lot of the other, guests and hosts and things like that go.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's going to continue to be a thing. But yeah, as far as starting new shows go, I mean, if some of these other ones come about, So I'm talking to a few people about like a Java podcast. But I think a Java podcast could get traction because there are a lot
Yeah.
of Java developers out there. It's not a hot technology and it's not really a high growth technology, but it's an underserved technology.
Yeah, it's so huge. I remember looking, and I think there were only a couple of Java podcasts, and most of them were like dead.
Yeah, I went and looked, and I actually couldn't find one that was running. So,
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's one where like that just has so much, that and then the .NET, like
yeah,
there's just so much, they have so much traction
yeah.
that
Well,
you probably would get a bunch of listeners right away.
Yeah, our .NET one, we're kind of we're kind of bolting the rest of the pieces in place, and they'll probably start recording next week.
Okay.
But yeah, then the AI, Python, and virtual reality shows, I think, are areas where things are really going to take off. So, and then I'm kind of playing with IoT in my head, but I don't know if that's. I kind of want to do it because we're seeing a lot more like smart devices that connect to your Wi-Fi and do things for you. But I'm also tempted to start a podcast on like writing Amazon skills and writing Google skills and writing Cortana skills and things like that. Because I think that's going to be an area that grows, especially with the IoT space opening up. But I don't know if that's a spot that's going to grow a ton for a while. I think the IoT space and the AI space are going to grow, and then all that's going to kind of feed the other space. I think that those technologies are going to lag AI and data. So
IoT seems like a big umbrella too, maybe too big of an umbrella, because it's got so many. There's so many like little subgroups within that, and I think people might be more interested in the subgroups, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's possible. I mean, home automation itself is probably a giant category.
Yeah, that's a good example.
And then, you've also got the sort of like self-driving cars are almost an IoT, but you've got areas where you've got like farm automation and things like that, or factory automation, or other areas where they run on similar principles to home automation, but they're doing wildly different things, and they're much less fault tolerant than your home automation.
If you did do an IoT podcast, I could see like you getting this wildly spiky thing where like all the home automation podcast episodes are like really popular, and then you've got a bunch more that are really nobody's finding it all that interesting. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But I mean, you've got like, I don't know, the biggest difference in my head between home automation and some of these other systems are that the home automation ones are much more polished for UX, and the more industrial ones, they just want to stick it in the ground and then be able to look it up on a web interface or something. Right. So it doesn't have to be quite as well put together as far as the device goes. So anyway, I'm kind of playing with that one in my head, but that's probably Q3 or Q4. But I think the AI, Python, and VR shows are things that, AI is definitely growing fast. Python's growing fast. Yeah. I think VR is on the brink. So,
yeah.
But if I can grow the listenership and I can open up more spots on JavaScript Jabber, I think we're going to be in a really good place by the end of the year. So anyway, you asked what's going on. That's kind of been my week. And then I also, I think you guys told me not to do this.
Uh-oh.
But it's done. Like actually done, and so I'll be maintaining it, but it's a lot less work to maintain than WordPress. But if you go to devchat.tv now, there's a new website up. So
nice.
So it's custom.
Yeah, it's I'm using a static site generator to pull it all together. And yeah, anyway, so there are probably a few customizations I could make to it as I move ahead.
I got a pop up here that says, quick question, how can we improve this page? Is anything missing? And I'll be like, use WordPress.
You should. And then put your email address in so I can get back to you on it.
Yeah.
That's hot.
Why use WordPress?
Yeah.
Oh, there's a blog post why I switched off WordPress.
Yeah. So yeah, so I kind of want to start blogging again as well, but that's part of the SEO play. So I'm going to be figuring some of that out. But most of the SEO stuff is actually going to go into like the HTML and JavaScript and CSS design stuff. And I'll probably just see if I can find like one tweak that's going to help up the thing. So I don't know if that's like putting tags in or...
Here we go. There's a contribute to the site on GitHub. I'm just going to copy and paste all the source code and replace it with WordPress. WordPress core.
Go for it.
And submit a pull request. Merge devchat.tv with WordPress core and submit a pull request.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so I've got that going. I'll probably, as some of the growth strategy, I'll probably put some basic stuff in as far as like getting people on the list.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you go to the podcast page or any of the episode pages, you can already subscribe to get it in your inbox, but it subscribes you to ActiveCampaign, so I've got to get that set up too. But that's on the 12-week year, so that's kind of the deal.
Nice. How's the run-in going?
Pretty well. I'm a little bit worried about how I'm going to get it in today and tomorrow, because we're cleaning out my father-in-law's house, which has been interesting. So he lives down in this tiny town in eastern Utah called Huntington. It's where my wife grew up. And I'm going to quit screen sharing. So her brother decided to come up and help him clean out his house. And so he roped all the rest of us in to go help clean out the house. I forgot some things at home, so I actually drove back up here this morning. And I was like, oh, well, I'll just jump on these calls and then I'll go back down. But anyway, so yeah. And he's a general contractor, which means he fixes his own stuff, which means he never gets around to fixing his own stuff. So seriously, like the last 3 or 4 years or more, his living room, there are no floor joists on half of the like seriously, like you just look down at the dirt under his house.
Yeah.
So yeah, just stuff like that. But he's had all this stuff just accumulate over the years. And so yesterday he has this like 12-foot trailer or something, and we've got most of it covered with trash that he's got to take over to the dump.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's been crazy, but it also turned into, oh look, your roof is falling apart. So half of us have been on the roofing, and the other half of us have been in the house cleaning it out. And
this is like every software development project ever.
It's so true. I probably have content for weeks that I could write for my mailing list. And so I probably will, actually. Because, I mean, we've thrown out all kinds of junk. My kids, of course, they're like, can I have this? Can I have that? Right? And that, that's all analogous. I didn't even think of that. Man, I'm gonna have stuff for weeks, I swear. Anyway, so we've been cleaning out his house, but yeah, so I don't know when we're gonna be done tonight, and then I have to go run. So we're staying at my mother-in-law's house because we can't stay at my father-in-law's house because it's a disaster. And because they're divorced, she lives in the same town. She just lives like 15 minutes away. But yeah. There's not really a great place to run. I'll probably wind up just running down the highway and back. Trying not to get hit by a car or something.
Yeah.
So, anyway, I could probably actually, because there's only one stoplight in town. So I could probably just like drive over to their church and then just run from there through town instead of down the highway. But anyway,
Well, how far do you got to go?
it's probably 3 miles. This is probably not bad.
Okay,
It's a 45-minute training run. Tomorrow's my long run. That's the one that I'm really worried about because we're going to be up there tomorrow too. But I refuse to skip workouts. So
good. And what's your long run tomorrow's hour and a half or hour?
it's like an hour and 30 minutes or hour and 40 minutes, something like that.
Okay, just however far you can get in that time.
Yeah, she usually tells me which intervals to run and what pace to set. The thing the thing is like some of them she's like, yeah, this is an easy run, and then the pace is like 17-minute miles. And I'm like, yeah, that's walking.
That's
I'm like, I can't run and go that slow. I just can't. So I wind up doing like 14 or 15-minute miles if I really hold back. But I have to like deliberately hold myself back.
Maybe if you run like 3 steps in one and then step forward and then run 3 and then step forward.
There we go. But if I just go run at like a regular easy pace, I'm usually around 14-minute miles. So
yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
And so it's a little bit, but then I get done and then I get a text from her because she's on Strava. She follows me on Strava.
Yeah.
And she's like, great run. And that I'm like, yeah, but your pace is off.
It'll once you actually, it's better to be on the conservative side is what they're doing, because once you actually run the marathon, then you'll have a real time, and then from there that'll kind of set your like pace from there. But yeah, I mean, you could possibly ask her to move it up a little bit to see.
I should. And she also asked me to run a 5K next Saturday.
Okay.
Like an actual event.
Yeah, you should do that for sure, and run it as hard as you can. Is just put everything you got into it. And I mean, that's how you should run a 5K. It'll be painful, but then you'll know exactly where you're at, because based on the 5K time, you can kind of extrapolate what your average pace should be, what your all that. So yeah,
because I mean, if I'm like on my like distance runs where she tells me to run a half mile and then walk for 2 minutes. I mean, on some of those, and when I'm still not paying attention, I'm doing like 12-minute miles. And so I think if I really pushed it, I could probably do a 5K in a half hour.
Yeah. 10-minute miles, basically. Yeah, I think that sounds about reasonable.
I'd be half dead when I got done.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's definitely a painful run, but yeah, you should give it your all out, and then you'll know where you stand, and then she can adjust the paces based on your 5K time. So
yep. And my wife thinks I'm crazy because next week I've been listening to this guy Andy Frisella.
Yep.
And he came up with this program called 75 Hard, and I've decided that I'm starting that on Monday. And that's 2 workouts per day. One of them has to be outside. They both have to be at least 45 minutes long. You have to spend 10 minutes reading a book. You have to drink a gallon of water every day. And you have to take a progress picture. And there's one more thing, and I'm trying to think of what it is. But yeah, so it's like, you have to stick to your diet, no cheats, for 75 days.
Okay.
So yeah. So I'm going to be working out like a crazy person. So I'm going to have to get up early because there's no other way to do it.
Yep.
So,
yeah, I started. I don't know. Yeah, I think I told you guys last time. I started my training again. So I'm like on week 5 of
nice.
So I'm like tomorrow will be 7 miles, and then Sunday's a 14-miler. So that's going to be long. So
yep.
So are you training for a specific race then, or?
I'm thinking right now there's a Maui Marathon that's coming up in like October.
Oh, that would be fun.
Yeah, so I'm thinking about doing that one. I could potentially do the one that you're doing because you're doing the St. George one, right?
Yeah.
The only problem is it's a week before the Maui one. So
That wouldn't be the most insane thing you've ever done.
No,
Do
no.
back-to-back marathons.
The question is, yeah, I might be able to. It's also downhill, like the St. George one, so it'd be a good one to get a real good time on. So I'm gonna see. Yeah, true, injured. I'm gonna see what kind of shape I'm in. Like I'm doing the training program I did for Vegas last year. So, but I'll be adding more miles because I'm thinking about trying to do an ultra afterwards. So I'll have to see what Right now, this program caps out with 4 20-mile weeks, or 20-mile Sunday runs, which is long run days. But I may add some more because I'll be finished with the program before the marathon. So depending on what my fitness level is, I might try and do both of them back to back. So
that'd be interesting. Yeah, I keep thinking that I kind of want to, because I'm really. It's funny because when I started, I was like, I was mostly just driven by being excited for the marathon, and now I'm really really enjoying running.
Yeah.
And it feels good. I feel better on days that I run. I feel like I accomplished something. And like the whole process is pretty awesome. So yeah, so now now that I'm getting into it and I'm feeling like, oh, I'm doing hard stuff, right? The 75 hard is just another layer on top of that, right? It's like go freaking do your stuff. And like for the other runs where I wind up going for an hour and a half, I'm sorry, I don't know how Andy feels about that, but that's 2 45-minute exercises. I just didn't take a break in the middle.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so if it's like an 80-minute run or something, then I'll just walk the other 10 minutes and just be done.
Yeah.
But anyway, and I am modifying it one thing, and that is that on Sunday, I pretty much devote the whole day to worship. And so I am not working out on those days. I'll drink the water and I'll take the picture and everything else. But, it doesn't sit quite right with me to work out on Sunday. So I'm not going to. But yeah, I'm doing everything else that's in the program, and I'm going to stick it out for 75 days, and I really want to get it done on the first go around. So
yeah,
I don't want to have to start over.
That's you have to start over if you miss a day.
If you mess it up. Yeah, one of the terms too for the diet thing is no alcohol, but that's not an issue for me.
Yeah.
So. I've been tempted to go off of diet soda for 75 days. Do
Scientologists believe in Jesus?
Scientologists don't.
Is that an ad on like Google or something?
Scientologists believe that that there was like a galactic war, and that what ended up happening was this ruler of like some area of the galaxy, like basically banished all these thetans to Earth, and that all of us have like multiple thetans, which are like these spirits that are within us, and we're like prisoners.
Can I ask how you know this?
Everyone knows.
Well,
this.
he's talking about it, so
Yeah.
he can't be in too deep, right?
I know absolutely zero about Scientologists. So
so in Parks and Recreation, there's a couple episodes where they have this cult group called the Reasonableists, and they believe that there was this giant lizard named Zorp. It's hilarious. But I think it actually, now that you're mentioning it, John, it sounds like a parody of Scientology. I haven't actually ever dug into that, but
I don't know. It sounds far-fetched to me, but I mean, far be it for me to criticize somebody else's beliefs. But yeah, that's interesting. But yeah.
So you believe in it?
Believe in what?
Scientology.
No, but I'm not going to argue with anybody about it either.
Where did you come up with Scientology? What is going on with Scientology?
I was just listening to one of Grant Cardone's book.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
And
okay, yeah.
he called Sell or Be Sold, in which in that
Yeah.
book he talks about if you really want to clear out all the negativity from your mind, you should read this book called Dianetics. And I'm like,
Dianetics.
So then I go and look it up, and I'm like, oh, L. Ron Hubbard. Oh, I get it. Scientology, motherfucker, just trying to convert me. All right.
But have
That's
you read
cool.
Dianetics? Because I read Dianetics.
No. Should I?
It's decent. Like it's interesting. Like there's some concepts in there that are interesting in terms of that they're somewhat universal concepts. Like one of the things, I mean, L. Ron Hubbard, like Dianetics obviously was written in the time where, you know, and most of the books, like in the early 1900s, you would make like scientific statements that had no basis, right? So it'd be, you know, even Dale Carnegie is kind of guilty of this in some respects, right? It's like assuming authority, right, about
How
things. So,
dare you talk trash about Dale Carnegie?
right?
Yeah,
all these
John,
guys,
that's not a good way
Yeah.
to win friends or influence people.
I know.
Exactly.
But
I mean, that's like totally going against.
so there's a little bit of medical quackery in there, but essentially the big concept of Dianetics is that you're I forget the exact terminology, but basically like within your body, like all of the things that happen to you are stored within your body, like in like memory cells, and like you have these like traumatic incidents and like pain cells that basically are stored within you. And then you have to, like, in order to like grow as a person, you have to like get rid of these pain bodies essentially, like and that's the whole purpose of like Scientology, like at that level of it, is to cure you of these aberrations, is what they call them. So it's kind of interesting because it's not a totally foreign concept, right? There's a lot of I would say religion and kind of spirituality and even some science based on this, right? So like bioenergetics is kind of a branch of psychology that's a little bit out there, but it came from uh, Carl Jung, right? And so in that, it's the same kind of concept, is that you have like emotions that are trapped in the body. You use bioenergetics to like release those emotions, right? And then that changes actually your, you know, they're stored in certain muscle groups of the body, and you can kind of observe this. Like if you look at people, you could kind of understand, like you could just look at a person and watch them walk, and you can basically make a pretty good assessment of what kind of person that they are, like what their personality is, just from watching them walk. And it's because of the way that we carry ourselves. You know, the type of psychology that we have is stored in the body. So there's some interesting concepts that kind of overlap there. So again, I think that you know, I'm not saying that Scientology is correct, but every like crackpot has based something off of some piece of observable truth. So
Yeah,
there's something to learn from it. But
I thought you were going to say some religion, but
you can
just
try
went
it.
that far.
You can taste it in your life. You can go see if you can observe evidence for or against it, and then make a call.
go get audited.
Yeah,
Go,
that sounds fun. Yeah, go
Yes.
do that.
get cleared. Hey, you know, Tom Cruise is a Scientologist, so there you go.
I know.
I've heard.
I know.
Well,
There's
if
quite a
Tom
few
Cruise
crazy-
is doing it,
Why not us?
yeah,
We should all go to the Church of Scientology once.
yep.
We
Anyway.
should like, that's what we'll do for Entreprogrammers Retreat. We'll just all show up and get analyzed at the Church of Scientology. We'll document that.
And there we go.
That's the retreat.
We need to be clear.
John has to go to a chiropractor after that.
Yes.
So, anything new with Simple Programmer or Bulldog Mindset or book summaries?
I've been trying to get these stupid books. I'm done like adding stuff. Like, fuck, this was supposed to be the year of simplifying things, and then like I let shit creep in, so I haven't been able to get to it. So I finished one book. Well, I finished like my portion of it because I ended up co-authoring a book, and so I did all the audio for it, and now the other author is almost done doing all the writing. So, but then soft skills, I'm still working on the revision of that for second edition. So that's almost done. Like, I guess it's about halfway done. But the work that I have to do left is not a huge amount. But yeah, that's what I've been trying to get done.
John, what were you doing with Kazi, with Clever Programmer?
Yeah, so he wanted to come down and record some content. That's something I've been thinking about. Josh is like, this is worth discussing somewhat. So I went up there and recorded some content with him, like a month or two ago, and then he came down here with his video crew, and we recorded just some videos, just some content for both Simple Programmer channel and for his channel. And so yeah, so I'm kind of meeting with him like once a week on Wednesdays over, but we might start doing them more in person if he's willing to come down here, or I can just drive up there and shoot live video. The idea is basically that we have pretty big overlapping audiences, right? In fact, he's got a bigger YouTube audience than we ever had, and we can, maximize that synergy there. So I think that we can help grow, both. And also, I think the other cool thing about this is, like, if we have both of our audiences familiar with both of us, we can sell the content, cross-sell the content a lot better. Like if we do promotion, it's like there's one thing when you're like trying to like borrow the authority quickly, but there's another thing where it's like, people are seeing this person over and over again. So
yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, he doesn't respond to me at all, so I'm just going to direct any and all questions through you now, because apparently...
Has he not responded after you texted him?
I texted him yesterday or the day before, and I haven't heard anything back. So
I texted him too, and
because he was going to do the 10 steps thing, like starting next week, and that's obviously not going to happen now.
And he has to pay us, right? Is that
right? Yeah, he has. It's easy to promise somebody 100% commission if you don't ever deliver any of it.
It's weird. He's like,
I know he'll come through, but
yeah. He's like, I'm trying to.
Can I get an intro to him? Because isn't he teaching Python?
He is.
Yeah. Yep.
Because I got so Reuven Lerner from Freelancer Show is pulling that show together now.
Okay.
And he wanted a revenue split on it, and I agreed to some revenue split. But it was like, look, that's after I pay my team to do all the work to, edit it and stuff. But then he's going to find all the guests. He's going to line up all the hosts. He's going to, he's basically going to do all the rest of that stuff. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. Kazi's kind of I'm trying to like, okay, so like his background, right, is he was basically, where was he? I think he was even in Pakistan, but then I don't know, he came over here at a fairly young age. But his brother one day, like, he was going to get a job doing security, like for $10 an hour, like as a security guard. And then his brother was basically like, hey, people are making like a lot of money doing IT. So he started like looking into IT. And then I think he said that his brother said, oh, Hadoop people that learn Hadoop, they're getting out of college and they're making like $100 and something thousand a year. So Kazi randomly picked a programming language because he thought Python sounded cool. And that's literally how he got into it, right? And he decided to learn it because he didn't think many people, it was obscure and it sounded cool. So he started learning Python, and he didn't get a job doing Python. Instead, I think one of the first things he did was teach Python as a mentor. So
Mhm.
he like found courses, he learned it, and then he found sites online where he could get paid hourly to tutor, because he was doing chess tutoring like a while back. So that's where he figured out he could do tutoring. And so then he started doing some freelance Python work off of Upwork and figured out that bit. And then and this is only like 3 years ago, right?
Mhm.
So this is the other thing. This happened 3 years ago, is when he first even touched Python or even touched programming at all, right? No background in any of this at all. And then he basically like started his YouTube channel and website, like I guess like 2.5 years. Like, I mean, he literally had learned Python in like 3 months, having no coding experience, and then was teaching it and mentoring people on it, and then launched the site and the courses and everything. So his background, I mean, he's obviously a pretty smart guy, but as far as like financial acumen and like organizational skills and that, not so much, because the way that he kind of backed into this. So yeah, so I'm gonna have to work with him on the communication skills and getting to be more reliable.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Well, and he also has got part of it is that he's also got a team. So on top of just general communication and business skills, he's also got team management that he's in the middle of too. So
and it's kind of funny because I was like, oh, when I talked to him, I was like, oh, you guys, you must be doing pretty well. Like, you must, like, you've got more subscribers than I have on YouTube, and you did the launch of your course, and you launched like for 100K or something like that, 150K, and I see him doing all this stuff, and he was like, yeah, so we're in the negative for I think he said it was in the negative or something. So they spent all the money, like, because he's hiring all these people, like he just is not like he's not approaching it from the perspective of growing a business from a small scale, and so they, I think they
Right.
made like a few $100,000 last year, but they spent it all. So yeah. So
Interesting.
got to spend money to make money.
Yeah. I think he'll do well. He just needs
One doesn't always follow the other, but
yeah, I mean, like, and again, I'm not saying this to make fun of him or anything. It's just that, like, he, like, we came from, all of us here, we came from like we were engineers, like we had software development jobs, like we were introduced into the financial world, like we invested in stocks, and like we have had budgets and whatnot, and like in 10 years experience, and then we started small in business and did little side things and like figured this shit out. So like the stuff that we take for granted, right, is stuff that most people wouldn't know. So that's kind of where he's at, just so you know what the background is. Yeah, it's not a knock on him. I mean, he's like 20 something, and he's done better than I did when I was that age, as far as like building your own business, but he's still got some organizational skills and management skills to master, and financial. So but yeah, because originally when I was thinking like, oh yeah, this might be something where we could potentially like merge or do something like that, or but I don't think so. Not with the, like, we would have to run the entire like operational side of it, right? Which is not not good.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
but there's still a lot of opportunities, I think, for cross promotion and creating content. So
cool. Yeah, hopefully we can get that affiliate promotion going.
Yeah. I'll ping him again and make sure that try to get him to respond and get us paid out and get that promoted, because I told him that he just needs to sit down with you and go over the affiliate promotion and how to do it. So
yeah,
Are you doing a 50 split with him?
on the
yeah.
Are you guys doing any upsells?
I don't know.
I mean, probably we'd try to get the 10 or the how to market yourself upsell going on that. Might as well.
Oh yeah,
Yep.
and more if you have any.
John, since I'm doing 2 JavaScript jabbers now every week, you should come on and either do how to learn anything quickly or
Yep.
Or how to market yourself.
or how to market yourself again.
Or both.
Yeah, that's true. Okay, yeah, let's do it. Because that's something I could talk about like in my sleep. So
Yeah.
Dude, I'm excited for you doing 2 a week now.
Yeah, I it was funny. I talked to my team and they all kind of were like, duh. I'm still kind of mentally chewing on it, but I'm probably going to do it. And they're all going, this is a no-brainer. And I'm like, I
Nice.
know, but I want to make sure that I've thought it through all the way before I commit. So
I know
Yeah.
Mandy told me about it like last week in the gym, and I was about to argue, and then I was like, well, actually, no, that's actually the smartest thing you could possibly do. It's like,
Yeah.
literally double not quite double, but at least a 25% increase in your business just by
It's
doing
like
one
we're,
thing.
yeah,
it's almost like at the return level, it's like 90-10 or 99-1. Like
Hmm.
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
level of returns we're talking about.
yeah. I mean, of all the options that I have, I mean, that one's
Yeah.
just kind of the
For all the
biggest
time you can
no-brainer.
spend on anything, it's like going back to the whole like tighter flywheel, doing more of the same shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Creating more podcasts is doing all the same shit, but doubling, tripling, quadrupling down on the podcast that's already generating you the most money, that's really doing more of the same stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the
Well,
true.
and if I wind up filling all those spots, then I'll just start doing a third episode
Yeah.
because I can either figure out hosting it on my
Dude, if
on my
fucking-
own the way we're doing it, or I can find other people to run that third episode.
Yeah, if John Lee Dumas with the way he was running EO Fire and he was getting like those 40,000-50,000 downloads a day for his daily podcasts, why not with what
Yeah.
you guys are doing?
I mean, it's a little bit of a different, like, I think there's a limit. I think John Lee Dumas could come up with a daily podcast, because it's like the structure of Entrepreneur on Fire was like a very short podcast with a very,
Yeah,
It was
like,
30 minutes,
defined-
man.
yeah, but it's
mine are an hour.
Yeah, that's a
each.
short, and it's a very like defined medium, like of the questions and format. But I think you could possibly top out at I think you could get 3 a week and not,
Probably.
overdo it.
My take is as long as you keep you increase them and you don't the number of downloads stays the same or it's within the 10% vicinity, you keep doing it
Yeah.
till it keeps
Yeah, but see, the problem is the effectiveness for the advertisers, right? It's like the downloads
someone or the
will
other
stay
is
the
going to
same.
take that spot. Because
Well,
if there's
but-
so many
yeah.
downloads, someone or the other, it won't be the same advertisers. It'll be different advertisers.
No, I know, but the downloads, download numbers are not if you're subscribed to a podcast, you automatically download it with your podcast, with your
App,
podcast
yeah.
software. So the download numbers are not really the metric.
Well,
That just shows that people aren't unsubscribing from the podcast, but there's only so much JavaScript jabber that someone's going to listen to in a week, right? It's better to
Yeah.
have people listening to the episodes.
There's because it's a podcast, there's a hard limit. It's not like with emails, you could probably, a daily email takes 2 minutes to read. A podcast takes an hour to go through, or
But
if
there-
you speed it up.
I think there is a lot of lot you guys are not thinking about in terms of what people want to listen to. Not everyone wants to listen to every freaking episode that Chuck puts out. Maybe some people are interested in one thing while some people are interested in something else. I don't listen to every podcast that even my favorite podcasters put out. I only listen to 10-20% of them.
Well, one thing that I'm seeing here is that I don't know where that line is, and I think it's going to be different for JavaScript Jabber than for, say another show, even on devchat.tv. So I'm going to increase it to 2
And
see
see
where
what
we end up.
Yeah.
And then if it kind of becomes obvious, now that I'm kind of thinking this way, oh, we should do a third JavaScript Jabber, or, maybe a second Ruby Rogues or something like that.
Yep.
Because currently JavaScript Jabber, Ruby Rogues, and Adventures in Angular probably account for 60% of what's of our traffic. And so
Right.
I'm not looking at creating a second episode of any of the other shows unless they really start going. So so yeah, so then I can evaluate, and I'm just going to do a second JavaScript jabber, and then in 3 months or 6 months, and I'll look at it and go, okay, should I do another one of these? Should I double down on a different show? Should I, and just kind of make that call that way.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
But yeah, looks like Josh has to take off. I need to take off pretty soon too.
Okay.
But
should we wrap
I
it
didn't
up
mean
here,
to
then?
monopolize all the time, but yeah, I had a lot go on this week.
Well, you're the only one doing anything, so.
At least running wise.
Yeah, but
I'm only flying these days.
Yeah. So you all know what I'm going to be working on over the next few weeks. So hopefully we can see a few more of these things kind of come through. But
yeah. All right. Should we do our thoughts for the week then?
That was quick.
Yeah, well, you joined us late.
I know. That's why I'm saying that was quick.
Yeah. So my thought for this week is, if you want to get crap done, don't fly to India. No, I'm just kidding.
Actually, I got a lot of shit done on my flight. It was highly productive. I got to say, better than sometimes being at home where there are so many distractions. No Wi-Fi.
Napping doesn't count.
No, I got like 7 hours of sleep on 24 hours of flying. So.
Yeah. No, my thought really is just, going back through the exercise of planning. It's like, you have to do the work, but if you can focus your work on, 1 or 2 major things, then that seems to be the thing that really, pushes the bar forward for me. So, getting this website launch was one of the 3 things on my last 12-week year. And, I got 2 out of the 3 that I had put on my list. But I feel like I executed it at like 70% overall. And so, I've made some major strides forward in a lot of stuff. And that's what you have to do. You just look at it. Okay, where do I want to end up? And you don't have to have like this, in 5 years, this is exactly where, but it's like, okay, where do we want to wind up? What are we aiming for? What's kind of the vision for this thing? And then if you back in and you say, okay, well, what can I do in the next 3 months to get there? You narrow it down to 2 or 3 things, and then just go all in on those things, like filling all the sponsorships, which is, going to make a major difference for us. Increasing our traffic is going to make a major difference for us. And then having PodWrench in place where we can streamline all of our processes is going to make a major difference for us, right? So those are the things that are going to make the biggest impact going forward. So those are the things that I'm going to go after.
Yep.
And so, just get focused on those results, on those goals.
You could even figure out a tighter circle than that, but that's maybe a next conversation.
You could, and I can probably prioritize these and say this one's the most important, this one's the next most important. But yeah.
Okay, I've got one. I'll say there's only 2 reasons why you fail. You either fail because a lack of knowledge or a lack of discipline. That's it. You either don't know what you're supposed to do, and you couldn't, and also, I guess along with that, like, failure is inevitable. Like, if you lack knowledge or discipline, then you're destined to fail, and it's not a bad thing. It just means that you're going to learn which one of those things that you lack, right? It's like you can't go through life without, if you're lacking the knowledge or discipline in a certain area, your failure is actually just a sign that's going to show you which thing that you need to work on. But every single failure can be, basically ascribed to one of those 2 things, and you can figure out which one it is pretty easily. Like, which is it? Like, did you not know something, and that's what caused you to fail, or did you not do something, have the discipline to do it, and that's what caused you to fail? And that's it.
Yeah, it's interesting that you bring that up, because the lack of knowledge, you can go out and, in a lot of cases you can learn what you need to know, but what I find is that lack of discipline, or, mental fortitude, or whatever it is you want to call it, that's going to get you to do the work. Mm-hmm. That's something that's entirely within your control.
Yeah.
And that's what this 75 Hard program is about, is, building that mental toughness. and just so you can gut through anything. That's why one of the exercise sessions is outside. He's like, if there's a hurricane where you are, you're gonna exercise outside. He's like, don't be dumb, but you know what I mean. And yeah, it's that kind of thing, right? All these
If
things are
there's a
happening outside of
tornado,
my
you're gonna
control.
run right through the tornado.
Heck yeah. But it really does come down to that. I mean, you see people take cold showers. I don't know if that's effective for everybody, but they do that just to overcome the physical, I don't want to do this.
Right, exactly.
And yeah, I mean, ultimately, if you can get to the point where you can look at things and go, you know what, I've got what it takes, and I'm going to push through this no matter how unpleasant it is. Yeah, I mean that's big.
All right, so I'm going to add to that, and I'm going to say behind those is the why. When you have a why, you will do that. You will go learn, or you will have the discipline. But if you don't have the why, you won't do either.
True.
And that brings me back to commitments. If you are committed, and commitment and why kind of go hand in hand.
Yeah, the one definitely makes the other easier.
They're both the same to me. Like, if your why is not, it's not. I think the extreme end of why is a commitment.
Yeah, I was going to say, I know some people that will come up with a why, but they won't commit, or they'll verbally commit, but they won't actually be committed.
The why, a flimsy why won't really get you anywhere. The flimsy why won't get you to develop the knowledge or the discipline. But as the why gets stronger and stronger, all the way to, I think there's degrees of that why, and there's that commitment when there's an internal commitment, or but then there's like burn the boats kind of commitment, the extreme, where you'll make all of this shit happen. So the why is where it's at, but commitment is really the truth behind what we're talking about here. If you don't have commitment, you won't be disciplined.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mic drop.
Mic drop. All right,
guys.
See you guys next week.
Oh, by the way, I have a book recommendation for you guys. Check it out. Build a Business, Not a Job.
Build a Business, Not a Job. Okay.
Fuck, I love that book, man.
I thought he was going to recommend Lean Startup.
No, I was going to recommend Dianetics, but seriously, really good book. Even though it feels like a freaking commercial for his mastermind, it's a damn good book. It makes total sense.
Okay, I'm adding it to my list.
I was going to say I'm going to add it to my list as well. So,
yeah, it was probably the most influential business book I've read in the last 20 years. So,
why is there not an audio version? What's going on here?
I don't know. I think it's a pretty new book.
Yeah,
it's good, man.
All right, cool. All right, see you guys next week.
Yep.
Well, later.
Bye.